When we think of the Roman army, the image that often comes to mind is that of relentless legions uniformly advancing on their enemies with drawn swords, ready to kill and conquer. But this simplistic view doesn't do justice to the true complexity and efficiency of these military forces. Besides being masters of warfare, the Roman legions were multifunctional units, skilled in a surprising range of tasks that included building bridges and roads to managing mines in distant territories. And the true secret behind their success? A highly organized structure where each legionary had a specific role, fitting into a hierarchy of specialized positions. Today, we will dive into the strategies and battle formations that transformed the Roman army into one of the most feared war machines of antiquity. Join us to discover how seemingly simple strategies, brilliantly executed, ensured centuries of Roman dominance over the known world. The tactical formation of the legion, the art of the manipulus. The Roman legion was the basic unit of the Roman army, and its structure was one of the keys to its success. The manipulus formation allowed for flexibility and efficiency. Each legion was composed of 30 manipuli, divided into 3 lines: hostati, principes, and triarii. This division facilitated quick maneuvers and the replacement of tired soldiers with fresh ones during battle. The ability to adapt the formation to the battlefield circumstances was crucial for defeating enemies with different tactics and numbers. The manipuli were made up of soldiers trained to fight both in cohesive formation and individually. The manipulus tactic gave the Romans the ability to divide and conquer, fragmenting enemy forces. Each soldier knew exactly their place and function within the manipulus, allowing for unmatched coordination. The flexibility of the manipulus formation also meant that the Romans could react quickly to any surprises on the battlefield. They could reconfigure into defensive or offensive formations as needed, demonstrating an adaptability that few armies of the time possessed. This structure not only improved battlefield efficiency, but also the morale of the soldiers. Knowing they were in a formation that could be quickly adjusted, legionaries had greater confidence in their chances of success, regardless of the conditions they faced. Finally, the rigorous and continuous training of the legionaries in the manipulus formation was essential. They spent months, if not years, practicing these formations until they became second nature. This training was the foundation upon which all Roman tactical success was built. The tortoise technique, protection and advancement. The tortoise technique, or testudo, is one of the most iconic formations of the Roman army. In this formation, soldiers protected themselves with their shields, forming an impenetrable wall around and above them, resembling a tortoise's shell. This technique was especially useful during sieges, where soldiers needed to advance under a hail of enemy arrows and projectiles. The testudo was primarily used by heavy infantry, who marched slowly toward enemy walls or other strategic points. The ability to move as a cohesive and protected unit allowed the Romans to approach enemies without suffering significant casualties, keeping their forces intact for hand-to-hand combat. The tortoise formation required tremendous discipline and synchronization among the soldiers. Each man had to completely trust his comrades to keep the formation solid. Any breach could be fatal, making training and unit cohesion absolutely essential. Besides offering protection, the testudo also had a powerful psychological effect. For enemies, the sight of a wall advancing inexorably was terrifying. The confidence and determination of the Romans in their formations often led opponents to surrender or flee before direct combat even began. The testudo was not infallible, but its effectiveness and the high morale it provided to Roman soldiers made it a frequently used tactic. The combination of protection and slow, but steady, advancement made the tortoise technique a brilliant example of innovation and discipline in military history. The auxiliary cavalry, support and mobility. While the infantry was the heart of the Roman army, the auxiliary cavalry played a crucial role in terms of support and mobility. These troops were often recruited from allied or conquered provinces, bringing a diversity of techniques and skills to the Roman army. The cavalry primarily assisted in reconnaissance, flanking, and pursuing enemy forces. The cultural and technical diversity of the cavalrymen added an element of unpredictability to the Roman army. Numidian cavalrymen, for instance, were known for their skill in close-quarter combat and hit-and-run tactics, while Germanic cavalrymen were valued for their brute strength and ability in more traditional battles. The cavalry was also essential for rapid communication on the battlefield. Messages and commands could be transmitted quickly through cavalrymen, allowing commanders to adjust their tactics in real time. This effective communication capability was one of the elements that enabled the Roman army to react swiftly to changes in combat conditions. In many battles, the cavalry played a decisive role by attacking enemy supply lines or flanking unsuspecting units. Their ability to move quickly across the battlefield and strike where the enemy was most vulnerable perfectly complemented the brute force of the Roman infantry. Finally, the presence of the cavalry also helped intimidate the enemy. The sound of galloping horses and the sight of cavalrymen charging with lances and swords were enough to cause panic in many opposing forces. The combination of disciplined infantry and agile cavalry made the Roman army a truly formidable force. Military engineering, beyond the battlefield. The Roman army was not only skilled in combat, their military engineering capabilities were equally impressive. Legionaries were often called upon to build fortifications, bridges, roads, and other engineering projects that were vital for both warfare and the administration of conquered territories. One of the most famous achievements of Roman military engineers was the construction of roads. These roads allowed for the rapid movement of troops across the vast Roman Empire, ensuring that reinforcements and supplies could quickly reach critical points. Roman roads were so well built that many are still in use today. In addition to roads, the Romans built bridges that allowed for the quick crossing of rivers and other natural obstacles. The ability to rapidly construct temporary or permanent bridges gave the Romans a significant strategic advantage, enabling their troops to move wherever they were needed. Fortifications were also a vital part of Roman strategy. During campaigns, the Romans frequently built fortified camps every night, known as castra. These camps provided security for the troops and served as advanced operational bases. The engineering skills of the Romans ensured that these camps were constructed quickly and were highly defensible. The use of siege engines, such as catapults and ballistae, also highlighted Roman ingenuity. These machines allowed the Romans to besiege and capture fortified cities efficiently. The combination of construction skills and complex war machines demonstrated that the Romans were masters of both destruction and creation. Finally, the ability to organize large engineering projects in newly conquered territories helped integrate these territories into the empire. By building infrastructure and improving the local quality of life, the Romans solidified their control and gained the support of the conquered population. Military engineering was thus a weapon of both war and peace. The importance of discipline and training. Discipline and rigorous training were the pillars of the Roman army. From recruitment, soldiers underwent an intensive regime of physical and tactical training. They were trained to march long distances, fight with various weapons, and follow orders without question. This fierce discipline was one of the reasons why the legions were so effective on the battlefield. The training of legionaries included battle simulations, where formations and tactics were practiced repeatedly until they became instinctive. This constant practice allowed soldiers to react automatically to commands and changes on the battlefield without hesitation. Discipline was not limited to physical training. Legionaries were also educated in military history and the strategies used by great Roman commanders. This theoretical knowledge, combined with practical training, created soldiers who were not only strong but also tactically astute. Maintaining discipline was strictly enforced. Any disobedience or breach of discipline was severely punished, ensuring that all soldiers upheld the high standards expected of them. This unbreakable discipline was a key factor in the cohesion and effectiveness of the Roman legions. Finally, leadership also played a crucial role in maintaining discipline. Centurions, the officers responsible for commanding centuries, were usually chosen for their skill and experience. These leaders were on the front lines with their men, setting an example and ensuring that orders were followed. The trust between soldiers and their leaders further strengthened the discipline and morale of the legion. Siege strategies, conquering fortresses. The Romans were masters of siege strategies, using a combination of ingenuity, patience, and brute force to conquer enemy fortifications. Roman siege techniques involved both the construction of war machines and the creation of engineering works that isolated and weakened the enemy. One of the primary siege strategies was the construction of fortifications around the besieged city, known as circumvallations. This cut off all supply routes and reinforcements, leaving the defenders without resources. The Romans built these fortifications quickly, using locally available materials. Additionally, siege engines like assault towers, battering rams, and catapults played a crucial role. Assault towers allowed soldiers to attack the walls directly, while battering rams destroyed gates and walls. Catapults launched projectiles that caused significant damage to the enemy's defenses and morale. Patience was a vital virtue in Roman sieges. The Romans were willing to wait weeks, months, or even years to conquer a city. During this time, they maintained constant pressure on the defenders, using tactics of intimidation and attrition. The ability to adapt siege strategies to the specific conditions of each fortification was a hallmark of the Roman army. They carefully studied enemy defenses and adjusted their tactics as needed. This flexibility and determination often resulted in seemingly impossible victories. Finally, the integration of various techniques and the collaboration between engineers and soldiers ensured the success of siege operations. The combination of advanced technology, meticulous planning, and disciplined execution made the Romans a formidable enemy in any siege. Logistics and supplies, keeping the legion moving. Logistics was one of the pillars of Roman military success. Ensuring that the legions were well supplied and ready for battle at any moment was a complex task that the Romans executed with precision. Efficient logistics allowed the Roman armies to move quickly and maintain pressure on their enemies. The Romans built networks of roads and bridges that facilitated the transport of troops, supplies, and equipment. These infrastructures allowed the armies to move quickly and in an organized manner. Roman roads were famous for their durability and efficiency, being a crucial element in maintaining Roman dominance. Roman camps, or castra, were strategically located to maximize logistical efficiency. Each camp was self-sufficient, with designated areas for storing supplies, forging weapons, and medical treatment. This allowed soldiers to always be ready to march or fight. Supply management included the collection of food, water, and other essential resources. The Romans had well-organized systems for acquiring and distributing supplies, ensuring that the legions did not run out of vital resources. This organization allowed the Romans to maintain prolonged military campaigns without suffering from shortages. Pack animals, such as mules and oxen, played a vital role in transporting supplies. The Romans used these animals to carry large quantities of food, weapons, and other equipment. The ability to quickly mobilize large amounts of supplies gave the Romans a significant strategic advantage. Finally, efficient communication between different parts of the army and the central administration ensured that any logistical problems could be resolved quickly. The ability to plan and execute complex logistical operations with precision and effectiveness was one of the keys to the continuous success of the Roman army. Hierarchy and specific roles in the legion. The hierarchical structure of the Roman army was rigorous and well-defined, ensuring that every soldier knew their specific role and responsibilities. This complex organization was fundamental to the efficiency and effectiveness of the Roman legions on the battlefield. At the top of the hierarchy was the legatus, the commander of a legion, usually appointed by the emperor or the senate. The legatus was responsible for all strategic decisions and the overall leadership of the legion. Below him were the military tribunes, officers who assisted in administration and tactical command. The centurions were the heart of the Roman hierarchy. Each legion was divided into centuries, units of about 80 to 100 soldiers, led by a centurion. These field officers were known for their bravery and experience, often fighting on the front lines with their men. The centurions ensured that orders were followed and that discipline was maintained. The legionaries, the rank-and-file soldiers, were the foundation of the legion. Each legionary had specific roles, ranging from heavy infantry to engineers and medics. This specialized system allowed the legions to be highly versatile and capable of performing a wide range of tasks. The principes and triarii were veteran soldiers who formed the most experienced lines of the legion. These soldiers were often used in critical moments of battle, where their experience and skill could make the difference. They served as an elite reserve, entering combat when the situation demanded it. Beyond the formal hierarchy, there was a culture of merit and promotion based on skill and bravery. Soldiers could be promoted to positions of greater responsibility based on their achievements on the battlefield. This meritocratic structure encouraged excellence and dedication among Roman soldiers.